an engine to take off from a runway just like an airplane would. Then about Mach 4, we would cut in what we call a scramjet. That stands for supersonic combustion ramjet, which means that the airflow going through the engine is supersonic all the way. And the trick is to inject your fuel and burn it and still keep it in the inside the engine so you can get some thrust out of things.
Right.
So I was working on that with NASA, and then unfortunately the whole thing fell apart when our former president George Bush decided he wanted to go back to the moon and Mars, and over a weekend, shockwaves went through NASA because nobody was expecting this at all. You know, and it completely derailed our third generation launch system. They went back to what they call the Constellation system, which was really very bad. A lot of people criticized the Obama administration for canceling the Constellation program, but that was the smartest thing they could ever done, because the program as it was dumb as dirt. That's the only way to put it. They were going to launch the astronauts on a rocket, solid rocket booster. They were going to take one of the boosters off the side of the space shuttle. You remember those solid rocket boosters, the ones that gave them all the trouble? They were going to take one of those and put a capsule on the top of it and launch the astronauts. Then they did a little bit of
Would that be as dumb as it sounds?
Well, a solid rocket booster is very unstable, and they figured the vibrations would be such that they could successfully get the astronauts up into space, but they'd be dead by that time because of the vibration. So they said, well, what are we going to do? So they said, let's put big springs on it. So that was the solution, put big springs on it so it hopefully wouldn't shake up the astronauts too much. So that's what I was working on when I retired, and we did have an Air Force program that was strictly Air Force, and we actually flew the engine and it worked.
Oh, that's good. So maybe there's some hope after all.
So maybe there's some hope.
But you've been bitten by the fiction bug once. Are you sure you don't have another one in you?
At the moment, I do not. And
because what we've just talked about now sounds really fascinating. You know, we don't get to go behind the curtains of the space program anymore.
Yeah.
Because I was a kid in the '60s when, boom, everything was just pure excitement.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll never forget the first moon landing. Nobody who was alive at that time ever will, I don't think.
Yeah, I was starting my career as a test engineer back in the '60s, and there was plenty of money flowing and all excitement about going to the moon and so on, and we did accomplish that. And if anybody doubts that we really went to the moon, they've never worked with NASA.
Yeah.
In the Air Force, whenever we had a joint program with NASA and there was any security involved, we'd always roll our eyes and say, "Oh no, NASA!" Those guys can't keep quiet. So there's no question in my mind that we went to the moon.
Well, I've held moon rocks myself. So I don't know how anybody could possibly doubt that, to be honest.
Yeah.
But anyway, as it happens, we have somehow come to the end of another episode of
Okay.
Although maybe we should just hit a bar and keep talking, because I'm really enjoying this. Anyway, once again, Albert Boudreau, his novel is The Golden Needle, and it's available from Northshire Books and in the usual online sources. I'm Steve Seitz, and thanks again for sticking with us.